Proximity alarms are being nerfed in the latest season of Rainbow Six Siege, and this is all down to one operator, and that is a defender recruit Century, who has been able to use proximity alarms and pre-placed nitros in a very successful tactic where the defender can be anywhere on the map and gets points for the proximity alarm going off, and then just detonate their nitro cell when they see those points show up. And that is what is being removed from the proximity alarm. It will no longer give points, letting you know that someone has entered the radius of the gadget. Now this means the combo is still viable, but of course you'll need to be close enough to actually hear your proximity alarm go off. Now of course the defender recruit is one of the most powerful operators on defense, and we actually bring up a balancing graph. Oh yeah, he's actually one of the worst. He's quite literally the second worst operator. You do have to look all the way down to see Clash down there. But Century currently is the second worst defender in the game. And they're not trying to nerf this operator generally, that's not actually what they're trying to do here. It's because they've got a lot of feedback saying that this tactic is just a little bit unfair because this tactic requires 0 skill and you can be anywhere on the map and you'll get the notification. So they have decided to cut back on that. And that feedback has come from the player base when it comes to filling in the surveys that are usually posted to places like the Rainbow Six subreddit and other social medias. It's also been noted by the developers that this was not a frequently used tactic or combination with the defender recruit, and like I said earlier, you can still use the sound cue from the proximity alarm, which is the entire point of the gadget, so you can still do this combo, you just can't do it from the other side of the map. This is also though going to hit defenders in general or anyone using the proximity alarm, and I do see the proximity alarm as a relatively weak gadget currently, and this just makes it a touch weaker because it is handy sometimes to put down some proximity alarms on the far side of an objective and you defend on our side, and at least you'll get points if someone is trying to flank around a different location. Whereas that of course now will not be possible. And also this kind of change is not the first we've seen of it. So for instance, frost mats used to give you points when someone was injured. Now of course you have to actually monitor your frost mats to know that someone has gone down in them, and of course now you can even self-revive in them. And that now takes us into the conclusion section of this video. And I think when it comes to the defender recruit, this is my prediction of where the recruit's balancing graph will be next season. And I do think we'll see a big reduction in the overall pick rate of this operator. And I feel like it might drop off just kind of over time. And I don't think there's any easy quick fixes on how to buff this operator to make them better without maybe changing the actual loadout and giving them a better weapon overall. The attacker recruit, on the other hand, has one of the top tier weapons, and maybe the defender recruit just needs a top tier weapon too. And then for general proximity alarm use, I see this as already being one of the weakest secondary gadgets, and I think it's going to continue to get weaker with this change. But it will still certainly have its place. Just simply having these near you and allowing you to be alerted to someone coming up on you is well worth it and better than nothing for sure. And I think just like the change with the frost traps not giving you points, I think players will adapt very well to this. People always over exaggerate how impactful things like this will be, and then they don't turn out to be nearly as bad as people predict, because the player base is actually very good at adapting to these small gameplay changes that are not going to have a huge shift overall. And if it is the case that this was a tactic causing a lot of frustration, especially because there's not many counters normal operators can do against it, and especially with the defender potentially being on our side of the map, it does seem like a bit of a cheap way to get a kill. But I did enjoy using it a couple of times myself, and now I might still do it, but of course keep myself in audio range of the actual proximity alarm that I place. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of this change in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.